It's been a long wait for the Halo community and fandom, over 6 long years at this point. But finally on December 8th of 2021, Halo Infinite's campaign was released. Unlike other reviews right now, I will be mildly discussing spoilers throughout this review. While I won't go into any big story spoilers, it'll be nearly impossible to talk about this game without spoiling a little something here or there. Besides, this is the best way to cover myself because spoilers mean something different to each person. So, you've been warned, small spoilers ahead. For this review, I want to break it down into sections, so I can talk about specific topics and scenarios that I personally encountered in Halo Infinite. So, first up is the story. I wasn't entirely sure what to expect going into the story of Halo Infinite because where we last left off in Halo 5, Cortana was set up to be the primary threat to the galaxy with her fleet of Guardians. However, from the marketing and trailers, that whole thing seemed to be put on the back burner with little sign of Cortana to be found. Quickly after starting the game though, you discover that Infinite starts about 6 months after the events of Halo 5 and just sort of throws you into it all. Quite a different approach for a Halo game, right off the bat. Things are going on and you don't entirely know why. After the Banished, a new faction created from former members of the Covenant, attacks the UNSC Infinity and Master Chief gets to meet the leader of the Banished himself, Atriox. The Chief finds himself once again floating in space, waiting to be woken when he is needed. By chance, a UNSC pilot known as Echo 216 comes across him, and together, they set forward onto the Halo Zeta ring to try and figure out what the Banished wants and how to stop them. This time around in Halo Infinite, 343 Industries keeps the cast of characters tighter and really focuses in on the Master Chief's relationship with the pilot and his new AI, the Weapon. It's a nice change of pace from the oversaturated and oftentimes bogged down cast of the last couple installments. While Infinite makes an honest attempt to welcome new players into the series as a spiritual reboot of sorts, the story being presented, however, is still one that would greatly benefit from knowing the deeper and extended lore from the books and previous games. However, taking Halo and boiling it back down to its most iconic and recognizable roots was an excellent decision in my opinion. This feels like a true Halo experience again. You are Master Chief with an AI on a Halo ring. Not just any Halo ring though, but Zeta Halo. Arguably one of the most intriguing possible locales to set a Halo game if you're familiar with the extended lore. But at this point, I risk going into heavy spoilers if I keep talking about the story, so let's just say that this is one of the most Halo feeling stories we've gotten in a long time. It's actually quite great. I was both excited and a bit nervous when it was announced that Halo Infinite would be taking on an open world approach this time around. But shortly after starting the game and being let loose, all of my concerns were null and void. I was worried that the game would take on a formulaic feel where you just kinda rinse, wash, and repeat certain objective types over and over again a la Ubisoft. But sure enough, the open world fits Halo like a glove. There are a slew of side objectives that you can take on outside of the core story campaign, such as discovering fallen FOBs or forward operating bases, UNSC outposts that were taken over by the Banished. Regaining control of these FOBs gives you Valor, an in-game progression system that will allow you to call in better weapons and vehicles at each one of the FOBs that you've conquered. Apart from that, there are UNSC fire teams under attack around the open world that you can jump in to help save, which will then send those Marines back to your FOBs for even better reinforcements and valor. One of my favorite side challenges is the target missions, where the Chief is tasked with taking out specific high-value enemy targets, each one with their own unique backstories and lore. It's a fantastic way to really flesh out the world and make it feel authentic. The world itself is pretty large, although in comparison to other open world games these days, it would feel kind of small, but it never actually does in Infinite. The way the missions and environments are structured, I felt like I was constantly seeing something new for the first time. The map is littered with little secrets, collectibles, and Easter eggs, encouraging exploration from the very start. One point I was a little confused on originally though was how they would be able to offer the large set pieces and story beats that are typically associated with the Halo experience. Once more, I offer a small spoiler warning. 3, 2, 1. After a certain point in the game, you'll find yourself traveling down deep within the ring itself. Here you'll see the absolutely stunning work that 343 has done with the art style, as the Forerunner environments have never looked better. And these tunnels and structures are where a hefty amount of the story beats end up taking place, as to not interfere with the open world above, I suppose. But as stunning as these environments were at first to me though, I do find that we spend a little too much time down in them. After a while, I did start to feel a little claustrophobic and was wanting to just see the open sky again. But past a certain point, it's likely you won't see much else besides the inside of banished halls and Forerunner structures. Which leads me to my only other issue with the open world. Unlike previous installments in the franchise that had levels ranging in different night biomes from like deserts to snowy mountains and everything in between, in Infinite you mostly just get what you see. A rather nice alpine environment, but that's it. No beaches or jungles or eerie swamps, nothing. It's just a little jarring once you realize that, and because of it the game starts to blur together after a while. Don't get me wrong though, it looks fantastic, but without the variety previous entries had, even up until Halo 5, the whole experience just kind of feels different. If you've watched my channel for any amount of time, then you know that I've been a lifelong Halo fan. From playing Halo CE back in 2001, finishing the fight in Halo 3, or being entertained but ultimately disappointed in Halo 4 and 5, I've played them all, and well, this may seem bold of me to say, but the Master Chief has never felt better. Chief feels powerful, fast, and agile this time around. In no small part thanks to the amazing addition of the grapple shot, a piece of equipment that truly feels like it was always meant to be in Halo. It makes getting around and exploring the map an absolute blast. On top of that, you also get 3 other pieces of regenerating equipment. The drop wall shield, the threat sensor, which is invaluable on harder difficulties, and finally thrusters, allowing you to bob and weave all over the battlefield with ease. You can also upgrade the Master Chief's shielding systems, but that's not exactly a piece of equipment like the others are, although still quite useful in its own right. Of course, none of this would matter if the AI wasn't fun to fight against and use them on. Luckily, there is no issue here from what I can tell. Elites in particular are back to being fast and witty, always looking for a quick route of attack or flanking position, and it's actually really cool seeing brutes and grunts scavenging the battlefield for once, similar to that of the player. You'll see enemies swapping out weapons that may suit their situation better, such as a brute tossing down his Hydra missile launcher in favor of a close-range bulldog shotgun, if the player gets in too close. It's constant little touches like this, alongside some of the best enemy combat dialogue I've ever heard, and that's what makes Halo Infinite come to life in the heat of battle. But for as good as the enemy AI is about how bad the friendly Marine AI has become. I'm not entirely sure what happened here, but Marines are often clumsy with suicidal tendencies. shooting rockets way too close to themselves, getting stuck on geometry, or even fiercely attacking my empty scorpion tank for no apparent reason, just to blow it up and force me to walk on foot. I'm not sure if they were intended to, but friendly soldiers also can no longer drive vehicles, at least from what I've seen, or rather haven't. In my 20 plus hours in the campaign, I have never seen an ally driving any sort of vehicle. An AI trait that was established all the way back in 2004 with Halo 2. It just seems a little strange, and honestly it makes saving all the Marine squads around the map feel pretty unrewarding, as you just get some valor and a few more brain-dead AI.
Get in the car, Morty! Get in the car! Get in the damn car now! Get in here! Get in the car!
Luckily, with how Infinite is structured, you'll never really find yourself missing them all that much though, as the Master Chief is truly a force to be reckoned with this time around. Weapons feel snappy and responsive. From the light pops of the Disruptor to the devastating blows of the Gravity Hammer, the weapon sandbox this time around feels quite fantastic, if not a little small. One downside though is for those of you like myself that enjoy playing the campaign through with a friend or two, will have to wait as co-op isn't slated to release until sometime around May of 2022. A huge part of what makes Halo Halo is the soundtrack and its implementation. Once again though, 343 knocks it mostly out of the park. The work composer Curtis Schweitzer has done here is actually quite great. There's not a single song that I heard in my time that I felt like didn't belong or was from a different game. From the soft and mysterious ambiance while exploring the ring's surface late at night, to the loud and bombastic iconic Halo theme blasting as you mow down countless banished, it all sounds and feels spot on, and a true return to form for the franchise after Halo 4 derailed it entirely and Halo 5 just mostly copied what previous entries did. My only real complaint with the soundtrack would be the somewhat downright confusing moments certain pieces and songs would play. I would literally just be idling, looking out at the void of space next to a captured FOB, and then the Halo theme itself would just start blasting for no apparent reason. I'm not sure if these are some sort of mild bugs or a glitch of some kind, or if the creators intended for it to be this way, but it does have a way of kind of pulling you out of the experience just a little bit from time to time, as the pacing can feel pretty off depending on what song decides it wants to start playing. After being delayed and waiting eagerly for over 6 years, what was presented to us here in the campaign of Halo Infinite was truly spectacular. 343 Industries were able to deliver a rarity in today's gaming market, a well-polished, finished product that doesn't disappoint. My entire time in the campaign, and I only experienced 1 or 2 small bugs that were more entertaining than they were game-breaking. It's nice to see that my faith in the franchise was being rewarded at long last, as Halo Infinite is a true return to form while also pushing the series into a new and exciting direction. As 343 Industries stated, Infinite will be the bedrock for future Halo stories to be told with upcoming DLC. All in all though, I'm truly excited for Halo, for the first time in a long while. So, with all that being said, my final score for Halo Infinite's campaign is an 8.5 out of 10. Hey, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed my review of Halo Infinite. If you did, clicking the subscribe and like button really does help promote the channel in the YouTube algorithm, so if you want to do that, I greatly appreciate it. Also, I'd like to apologize. I am kind of under the weather, but I wanted to get my review out there and express my feelings and thoughts on the game while it was still fresh. So I hope it wasn't too distracting for you. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in a future video. Take care.